and Joy class. Are we ready for Sunday school? All right. We're going to open our Sunday school this morning with the song number 572. And over there. Honey, I'm online here. I'm online. Go to the table. Okay. Alice, are you going to lead singing? Okay. All right, let's get ready to sing.
Everybody, hello. It's time to start.
Good morning,
everybody.
Can y'all find your places? It's time to start. Go sit down. Okay, y'all, we're singing 572 this morning. 572.
I love to tell the story.
Good morning, everyone. So glad to see you. I am beyond thrilled to be back today. I had hoped we would have been back last week, but our AC repair got kicked off until Monday, so that put us another day in Channelview. But I'm so glad to be back home and be back here with you guys, and love seeing all your happy, smiling faces. Okay, we have a couple of announcements here. Got evangelism training, if anybody's interested in that, 4:30 p.m. on September 21st. So check that out. And our parade of tables is coming up. We're all excited about that. I think most everybody in here's already signed up, haven't you? I know I saw online in the text messages that a number of you had already signed up to be a part of that. It's going to be September 28th in the gym, 5 to 7:30. And if you need child care, say you got a grandchild with you that day and you need somebody to help you with that, let them know. The cost is $20. It includes a catered meal and a guest speaker. So we've always had such a good time at that, and I'm looking forward to it. And LaVon probably has more information on our tables. So if you have questions, get a hold of her and find out what kind of help she might need and how we can assist her. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. On October 4th at the May Center, they're having their fall festival, and they have all kinds of booths and food booths, and our Masons will have a food concession there. And I don't know what they're serving this year, they haven't told me, but every year, whatever they serve is really good. Also, I have a booth, and my son has a booth. So he's going to be showing a lot of his woodworking projects and have them for sale. And then I've got a lot of my handcraft, crochet, quilting, things like that. So if y'all get a chance, be sure and come out. I think it starts about 10 o'clock and goes to early afternoon. And they have outside booths and inside booths. So if anybody's interested in a booth, you need to get a hold of somebody at the May Center and let them know. I think they still have space. So anyway, come out and see what we've got. They've got a lot of things out there. Okay, anybody have any announcements that I don't know about? Okay, looks like we're good. All right, Ronnie, you ready to buzz on up here and teach us some good lessons?
Brother Don, can you move this stand over for me? Yeah. We're just gonna stay on this today.
Okay.
I'll get the wireless mic and just put it in the basket here.
Okay, I'll let Don help you get set up.
Clip that for me.
Morning. Good morning. Hope I didn't interrupt you. We've got a couple announcements to make. Okay. Sure. Well, come over here and do it so that you get it on the camera. Yeah, so I get on the camera.
There you go.
Excellent. All right. I'm Mike Dion, for those that don't know me. I'm part of the mission team that we have here at the church. And we've got a mission from 2020. We're looking for as many volunteers as we can. We do on Cypress Point, and we'll be doing Cypress Point and Huffman Hills, the area we're covering. Now, some people, say, well, I can't do the walking and that. We're looking for drivers because the houses are so spread out as well, and also prayer. So if you can pray for the team. We've got 236 houses over in Cypress Point to do, and 132 in Huffman Hills. So we're looking for 7 groups of 4 for Cypress Point and 6 groups for Huffman Hills. So if you can, please join us. We have training on the 21st, and we'd appreciate any people we can have. Second announcement we have is Mary Hill Davis. Okay, we have that going on right now, and I'm sure everybody knows who Mary Hill is. She was head of the missions and WMU. So, but we have that going on this week. We've got a goal of $1,600 that we're trying to collect for that as well.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Another class right here.
Yeah, right to that door to the right.
Thank you.
Is this on part of the paperwork that we,
Yeah, it should be in the announcement as well.
okay, good.
Let me back up there close, we can just leave that like that.
Thank you.
That's good.
Don't want to cooperate. I'll see what it is.
There we go, that's good. All right. Get it that close, I don't think, let's see. That's good. It can be a little bit, or I'll be hitting. There you go, that's good. Y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right.
Sure can.
I'm sorry I'm gonna sit down here today. I'm afraid to get up there on that stool. I might end up in the floor. Welcome to everybody. Glad everybody's here today. Good to see you back, Alice and John. It's good to see y'all. And those of you online, we're glad to have y'all join us. And I've got to silence this thing. Thought I had before it starts ringing or something here. Something that's easy to forget, isn't it? It embarrassed me one Sunday morning right in the middle of the sermon. Somebody called me and I didn't know I forgot it. Okay, well our lesson this morning's on provision. It's the title of our lesson. And it's in Numbers chapter 11. And one thing that characterizes our society today is griping and complaining, isn't it? Kind of really, this lesson really fits real good. In our lesson text, it said, complaining is simply our response when we feel that we have or perceive that our needs have not been met. And I got thinking about that. That's true. Most of our griping is because something didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. We complain about everything, the weather, the economy, politics, our government, traffic. There's something to complain about. I had to go down to the medical center the other day, and they managed to be sure they released Jennifer right at evening traffic time. So we had to fight traffic for about 3 or 4 miles to get to the HOV, but then it was good, smooth sailing then. We complain about our food. We complain about our aches and pains. I was complaining about mine this morning. Someone has on their cell phone in traffic and is stopped and not moving, and the traffic is moved, but they're still sitting there. There's something we can complain about. How about when you're in the supermarket, somebody stopped in the aisle in front of you with their basket right in the center of the aisle. They don't get off to one side, and you need to get by, and you don't want to embarrass yourself by saying anything to them, but you're tempted. Or getting to the doctor's office or some other appointment and you have to wait an hour because they're late. That's frustrating. Our culture today in this nation is a culture of complaining that pretty much sums up society when you think about it. And we could probably complain more than anybody in history in this day and time. It was also something that would sum up the accounts of the children of Israel on their journey. When they started complaining, they were complaining constantly about something. And that's what our lesson is about today. The first part of chapter 11 is not covered in the lesson, the first 4 verses, but they had a problem there, and the people were complaining. And what started it was there was a bunch of people there that came out of Egypt with the Israelites that weren't Jewish. They just came out, and that's covered, let's see, I had it wrote down here. I'm sorry. Anyway, in Numbers chapter 11, verses 1 through 3, just before the part we're covering today, and I'm going to read it. It says, "Now the people began complaining openly before the Lord about hardship. When the Lord heard, his anger burned, and the fire from the Lord blazed among them." Well, I'm missing the podium already. "And consumed the outskirts of the camp, for the people cried out to Moses, and he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was named Taberah, because the Lord's fire had blazed among them." And the name Taberah means flame, or it means blaze, excuse me. The people were complaining openly, and they'd already had one incident where God had disciplined them by striking some of them dead earlier when they were there at the mount of that Mount Sinai. And here they are, they're only 3 days into the journey. They had just left and started for the promised land, and 3 days in the journey, and they're already griping, they're already complaining. And the first thing they're complaining about, and everything, was the hardship. It was tough, how many times have we been on a trip with our children, and we don't even get out of the driveway good, and they're already complaining about something? It usually lasts a couple hours. They're okay. They'll be occupied with something, but there's no time at all. They want to know when we're going to be there. Or they want to stop for the bathroom. They want something to drink. I mean, it's something. Well, these people were kind of, in a lot of ways, acting like children. And at that time, when God caused that flame to burn up the outskirts of the camp, it doesn't tell us, but I kind of wonder, these people that came out of Egypt with them from other nations that weren't Jewish, it seems like probably they were the ones that were stirring up the trouble. They were the ones doing the griping and complaining. And when it said outskirts of the camp, I would imagine they would be forced to stay out from away from the Jewish people, because they pretty much stuck together. And I'm thinking, just when I was reading that, there's nothing that tells us for sure, but probably God took care of the ones that were doing some of the griping and complaining. And when God's anger burns, that's not a good thing. And in his righteous indignation, he took care of it by punishing them for all their griping and complaining. And that brings us kind of to today's lesson, which is found on page 21 in your student guide. The first section is dissatisfied followers. And I want to read this first passage here, verses 4 through 9. "The riffraff among them had a strong craving for other food. The Israelites wept again and said, "Who will feed us meat? We remember the free fish we ate in Egypt, along with the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now our appetite is gone. There's nothing to look at but this manna." The manna resembled coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of bdellium. The people walked around and gathered it. They ground it on a grinding stone or crushed it in a mortar. Then boiled it in a cooking pot and shaped it into cakes. The taste, it tasted like pastry cooked with the finest oil. When dew fell on the ground, on the camp, at night, the manna would fall with it. And it talks about that some more over in Exodus. There's a passage in Exodus chapter 16. It talks about God raining bread from heaven. And said the entire Israelite community departed from Elim and came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had left the land of Egypt. The entire Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in the land of Egypt, when we when we sat by pots of meat and ate all the bread we wanted. Instead, you brought us into the wilderness to make this whole assembly die of hunger." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I am going to rain bread from heaven for you." And that was the manna. And the word manna comes from a Hebrew word, actually two words, man, and it means, what is it? And that's how they named it to people. When it came down, they asked Moses, "What is it?" And that's where the name came from. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyways, the first complaint about food occurred only a month and a half after they left Egypt. And instead of asking God to help them, they go and gripe against the leaders. And it seems like that's common in society. We always want to gripe about our leadership. We want to put the blame on somebody. And this word riffraff that's in there, it means a gathering or a mob of people gathered together. And I'd always heard that, and I didn't know what it meant exactly. I always pictured it as being somebody of low esteem or low character, bad character. But and I guess in a way that it does mean that, but it's a mob of people gathered together griping about something. And boy, that fit a lot of situations we've seen today, wouldn't it? The way people are. This is the only place that this word is used in the Old Testament. And that was, to me, was interesting. And in the King James and the ESV versions, it's rendered as rabble. And I thought about that. I'd always heard the term rabble rouser. You ever heard that? And So that's kind of what that meant. That's a mob of people stirring up trouble. And in the New King James Version, it's rendered a mixed multitude. And I got to doing a little research on that, trying to figure out exactly where all that came from. In the New Living Translation, the wording is the foreign rabble who were traveling with the Israelites. And over in the Exodus chapter 12, verse 38, I found this. It says, an ethnically diverse crowd also went up with them, along with a huge number of livestock, both flocks and herds. So this people that came out of there were not Israelites. I guess they were taking advantage of the opportunity to get out of Egypt. So they just went with them. When they escaped, they got out. Doesn't tell us what nationality they are or anything, but they were not Jewish. And we are not told anything about them other than that. But obviously they weren't any of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In this second rebellion that we begin to read about in our lesson today, starting in verse 4, it's been stirred up by this ethnically diverse crowd of people. And they had a strong desire for something besides manna. Now, the Israelites wept again and said, "Who will feed us meat?" They wanted something besides manna. The problem with this is that was God's gift to them. And when they started complaining about it, they didn't ask for God to give them something else. They started talking about it against the leadership. They started stirring it up, talking about it all around between themselves. And it says that the manna consisted of these substance, and it was about the size of small seed, and it fell with the dew at night. And in one of the commentaries it said once the dew dried up, they were able to gather it. Now they gathered it and they ground it up on a grinding stone. They had these round grinding stones that were two stones that were perfectly flat, and they had a hole in the middle, and they would put a dowel rod in the middle and put the grain or whatever on the rod. It doesn't say how big they were. Set the second one on there and then grind it. And said the majority of the people, the poor people, all they had was a mortar and pestle. They had a bowl and a stone of some kind to grind it in there. But they ground it up, put it in a pot and boiled it. And when it was done, they took that, I guess it was probably like a pasty consistency by then. They took it and formed cakes out of it. And it doesn't tell us here, but one of the commentaries said they baked it. They put it in the oven and baked it and made these little cakes. And the way it's described, it sounded like it tasted really good. It said it tasted like a fine pastry that was cooked with the finest oil. And I could imagine after a few months of eating that every day, all day long, you might get tired of it. But then I got to thinking, the majority of their diet was bread. They ate more bread than anything else. And sure, they had some meat. I'm sure they had a way to cook that, make stew, and to cooking it in a pot. But let's face it, they had just left Egypt. And they'd been under terrible tyranny and punishment, getting whipped and everything else, beaten, being burdened with heavy loads of work that they had to do. And they were crying out for somebody to save them all that time. And for 430 years they'd been under that, and they haven't been out of Egypt even a year yet, and all of a sudden now they're complaining. And they're they're looking back on it and saying, you know, we had this and this and this in Egypt, had fish, we had all these other foods and everything in Egypt, and you took us out here and now we got this old manna to eat. And it wouldn't have been so bad, but they were complaining against Moses and Aaron and the other leaders. And this manna is a type of Christ. If you read over in John chapter 3, verses 40 to 51, it says, Jesus speaking, he says, I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, and they died. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that anyone may eat of it and not die. And it's speaking in a figurative language, kind of like a parable. Christ is describing himself and about the fact he was getting ready to die on the cross as being that bread of life that was going to be supplied to us. That if we simply believed on him, we'd be saved. And so when God did this, gave them this, he was trying to teach them a lesson. God was trying to teach them that he often provides for his people one day at a time. You know, we always like to look way into the future, and I'm bad about that. I want to plan everything out. But God provides for us on a day-to-day basis. And I thought about that song by Chris Christopherson about one day at a time. Lord, teach me to learn to take it just one day at a time. And if we trust the Lord on a daily basis, he will take care of us. And that's what he was trying to teach these people. Now, beginning the second section of this lesson, and on page 23 of your lesson guide, talks about frustrated leader. And Moses heard the people, family after family, weeping at the entrance of their tents. The Lord was very angry. Moses was also provoked. So Moses asked the Lord, why have you brought such trouble on your servant? Why are you angry with me? And why do you burden me with all these people? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth so that so you should tell me, carry them at your breast as a nursing mother carries a baby to the land that you swore to give to their ancestors? Where can I get meat for to give all these people? For they are weeping to me. Give us meat to eat. I can't carry all this people by myself. They are too much for me. If you're going to treat me like this, please kill me right here or right now if I have found favor with you, and don't let me see my misery anymore. Moses, it says here, that Moses approached God with a series of 6 questions he asked him when you break it down. And Moses heard the people, family after family, weeping at the entrance to their tents. How could Moses not hear them with them weeping at the entrance to their tents? And it said family after family weeping at the entrance to their tents. Have you ever heard someone saying something just for your benefit but not directly to you. Trying to make sure you heard it but not say it directly to you. I've been in that situation. Had employees that were like that when I was a supervisor. They'd be off out in the other room there, but they were saying it loud enough you could hear it. And they talked that way about upper management. They'd gripe about upper management to the lower management or just within hearing. I guess they think, well, they're going to go tell them and that'll fix everything. I won't have to say it directly to them. And I wondered, were these people afraid to speak to Moses? Were they just trying to intimidate Moses? Well, whatever the case, it says, one thing for sure, guess who else heard this? The Lord did. And it said the Lord was very angry. He had already dealt with one thing just a few days before, and now here it comes again. You would think these people learned the first time a bunch of people got struck dead for what they was doing. But no, they're still at it, still griping and complaining. Now, they didn't go to Moses and say, Moses, do you think we could ask God to forgive us something else besides this manna? God had been providing this for months already by that time, manna every day. And this was miraculous. It was there. All they had to do was go pick it up and fix it, need it. And if they were tired of it, why not ask Moses to talk to God about it? But no, they're complaining. And Moses was also provoked, it says. Well, that word also, Moses was also provoked. That tells us God was provoked, because also would have to refer back to God. God was provoked because of the way they were talking and attacking his leadership. And one thing for sure, whenever you attack God's leaders, you're attacking God. You're not just griping to them. You're talking bad about them. You're talking about God. You're attacking God, and it's not going to go unnoticed. And how many times have we heard people complaining about those in authority, but not to those in authority? Just what I was talking about, going around griping and complaining. Nothing is hidden from God. And when you complain against God's leadership, you're complaining against him. And he's going to do something. God heard what they were saying, and he was provoked, and he was very angry. And Moses felt like he was caught in the middle of this. He didn't know what to do. He was at the end of his rope. It says that, so Moses asked the Lord, why have you brought such trouble on your servant? That was where Moses just kind of lost it. He had about all he could take. And he turned to God. In Exodus 5:22, it says, so Moses went back to the Lord and asked, Lord, why have you caused trouble for these people? And why did you ever send me? He was feeling inadequate. That was back when they were still in the land of Egypt and the plagues and things were going on, and Pharaoh had doubled their workload. Well, what was the difference between him complaining there and here in Numbers of chapter 11, verse 11? Moses was complaining the first time about the welfare of the people, and he was feeling inadequate. Here, he was feeling a heavy burden that he just couldn't carry anymore. He was at his breaking point, and he was complaining about his own suffering and his needs. Moses was angry with the people because they were complaining constantly, and always something. And they wasn't coming directly to him. They were going around and what we call backbiting, out there griping and complaining behind his back, but being sure he heard about it. Moses was frustrated with God for giving him such an overwhelming task. And sometimes we feel like that, I think, when we're serving the Lord. I know I've been in some situations where I just thought I just about had all I could take. It seems like sometimes you're the only one doing anything. There's an old saying that 20% of the people do 100% of the work. The other 80% usually just stay in the sidelines and don't do anything. And I'd heard that years ago. The first question Moses asked God was, why have you given me this heavy burden? Why have you put this on me? The second question he asked was, why are you angry with me? How many times have you been in a hard situation like that, and the first thing you got to wonder was, is God mad at me about something? I know I have. I've been there where something was troubling me, or a heavy burden like that, and I felt like God must be angry with me about something. What did I do wrong? Why is he punishing me like this? That's, I think, how Moses felt here. Often when trouble comes, we think God is angry with us. The question number 3 was where he said, why do you burden me with all these people? And these people were beginning to be such a heavy load on him, he didn't know what to do. Question number 4 was, did I conceive all these people? Pardon me while I get these papers. Get my notes here. He was basically asking God, am I their mother? Did I conceive these children and bear them? Am I their mother? And the 5th question, he says, did I give them birth so you should tell me, carry them at your breast as a nursing mother carries a baby to the land that you swore to their ancestors? They were acting like little babies, and that's what Moses was saying here was, there's 2 million people out here, Lord. How am I supposed to carry them like this? And then the 6th and final question, he said here, where can I get meat to give all these people? For they are weeping to me, give us meat to eat. I imagine he felt overwhelmed. How am I going to feed 2 million people? I thought about how Jesus fed the multitude, 4,000 or 5,000 people in the wilderness whenever they were listening to him preach, and they were hungry, and he just caused the little bit of food that was there to be multiplied. And you get to wondering when you look at this, Moses had seen all the miracles God had done already. And being the man of faith he was, I would think that he would know that if he just asked God, he could handle it, that God would do something. But he let himself look at what's the old saying, you couldn't see the forest for the trees. He was looking at the small problem and not looking at the big solution God had. And he said, what am I supposed to tell them? They're begging for all this. What am I supposed to tell them, Lord? I can't carry all these people by myself. They are too much for me. Moses had reached the point where he was at the end of his rope. He'd gone as far as he could go. Lord, this burden is too heavy for me to carry by myself. And sometimes we must hit the bottom rock bottom before we'll cry out to the Lord. And I think that's where Moses was. He hit rock bottom. He was as low as he could go. It was nowhere to look but up to the Lord. And he said, Lord, just kill me. Basically, he said, just kill me. I can't handle it anymore. Dad, or take me out of here and get somebody else. Well, I'm glad sometimes God doesn't answer the prayers we have, because I've been there and said things like that before to God when I was hurting, and I'm glad he didn't listen to me. God dealt with Moses with grace and mercy. He didn't punish him. Finally, this last passage on page 25, the Lord asked Moses, bring me 70 men from Israel, known to you as elders and officers of the people. Take them to the tent of meeting and have them stand there with you. Then I will come down and speak with you there. I will take some of the Spirit who is on you and give the Spirit to them. They will help you bear the burden of the people, so that you do not have to bear it by yourself. Moses cried out to God, and God patiently waited till Moses was through, as I would say, venting. He was venting. He was telling the Lord what was on his heart. And the one thing we can be assured of is God was waiting for Moses to finish, and then he was gracious to him, and he had a solution that he told him to bring 70 men with leadership qualities. He wanted them to pick them out and take them to the tent of meeting there in front of the tabernacle, and then I'll come down and speak to you. And Moses was at the point where he didn't have a solution, but God always has a solution to our problems. Sometimes we don't realize that, but God has a solution for every problem we face if we'll just trust him and turn to him. Moses couldn't do it all by himself, and neither can we. Oftentimes we'll try to carry the burden by ourselves, and if we turn it over to God, he has a solution. He would work it out for us. And his solution here was, get 70 men, and I'm going to put the Spirit of you on them. And basically what he's saying, the Holy Spirit's going to give them the same leadership qualities that I gave you. And they'll be able to handle this and help you. They weren't being given to take over for Moses. They were there to help Moses. And Moses wasn't Superman. He was human just like us. And this prayer shows Moses being totally honest before God. And that's something we can rest assured that we can do. Even when we're angry, God is big enough, he will let us tell him, if we're honest with him, how we're feeling. And then, if we trust him, he will give us an answer. And in this case, he gave these men wisdom and discernment to be able to do the things that they needed to do to help Moses. These men in no way minimized Moses' leadership. He was still the leader. They were there to assist him in the leadership. God never rebuked Moses for his tirade that he went on. Instead, he graciously provided what Moses needed. And he'll do that for us if we trust him, turn to him. What do we take away from this lesson today? Believers should be careful not to take God's provisions for granted. We can always take our concerns to God, telling Him what we need. And finally, we can trust God to provide what we need to carry out the tasks that He's given us to do. And I think that's all I've got. And I thank y'all for being here this morning. Lee, are you going to take over prayer time? Sure, happy to. All right.